float into the room, a ruffled feather, a hint of your perfume is a comely tether. Give back my heart you stole, chase down the rabbit hole, it's undebatable. We come together, we come together, we come together. Oh, baby, could we spend a month here tonight until we both are painted by morning light? Whoever made you must have had a talent for a high design. How in the world did you get to be so fine? I'd wait around with you for worse or better, but our halcyon days are few. It's now or never. The writing's on the wall. If I can walk, I will crawl. You rise above them all. We come together. We come together. We come together. Well, I think that maybe I've seen too much. You come around and damn it, I'm out of touch. Now I see you, and I need you on repeat all the time. How in the world did you get to be so fine? Oh, baby, could we spend a month here tonight until we both are painted by morning light? Whoever made you must have had a talent for a high design. How in the world did you get to be so fine?
What's up, guys? This is Derek from Under the Gun TV, and we are here at Looney Tunes in Long Island, New York, with the multi-talented Brandon Boyd. How you doing today, Brandon?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. So, Sons of the Sea, the new record just came out a couple days ago. How has the response been? How's it been so far?
So far, so good. I never know what to expect in this day and age when you put something out, book or CD. And so I've decided to throw all sort of caution to the wind and just keep putting stuff out and see what happens. And I definitely did a kind of like big toe in the pool before I jumped all the way in, but with the EP, just to give people a little bit of a taste or a sort of a compass, as it were, to sort of point the direction a little bit. And it was pretty well received, and more than I could have hoped for, actually. So it felt less vulnerable putting the whole record out when it came out.
So, for people that aren't too familiar with the new project, would you say it's more of a solo endeavor, or is it do you have a band that plays with you?
It's definitely like a solo endeavor, but I wrote it and recorded it with Brendan O'Brien, who actually he's produced the past 3 Incubus records, and so at this point it's like his and my sort of new music project. I'd say it's just a new music project more than a solo endeavor. I just performed with like a full band around it 2 or 3 nights ago on Jimmy Kimmel, and while we were on screen on TV, it was our officially like 3rd day of being a band. Some of those members are going to rotate around and stuff, but let's just call it a music project. So I'm still kind of like looking for active, members for this band. But to that point, Incubus is still very much a band, and we're actually getting together in just, a matter of weeks to start rehearsing for a South American tour, which we're doing in December. So this is more just sort of like a weekend outing, Sons of the Sea, and I hope that it takes on a life of its own, because I really love the stuff that Brendan and I have done together with it. But I've been seeing some tweets and some Facebookings here and there saying that like, what are you doing? Is Incubus over? By the way, that's the sound I hear when I read those tweets. Yeah. Sort of worried voice, and by no means is Incubus done. I actually still feel like we have our best record in us somewhere, so I'm still very excited to be part of that band as well.
How does this project differ than the Wild Trapeze that you did a few years ago?
The differences are vast. I'll just say that the Wild Trapeze I think when I first started conceptualizing that album, or just getting the balls to do a solo record, because that was my first sort of jaunt into the wild unknown all by myself. I think that I had maybe wanted it to be a little bit more like Sons of the Sea turned out, which was more of a collaborative thing with another musician, and it ended up being very much a solo thing. The Wild Trapeze. I played all the instruments, and sort of I had little bits of help here and there from other musician friends, but there was no sort of like one collaborative effort, short of Dave Fridman, who produced the record. I went to his studio upstate here in New York, actually, and we kind of just isolated ourselves for like 2 weeks and put that thing down. So it was a lot of fun, but all the sort of instrumentation and all the drums, the bass, the guitar, everything you hear is me. So there's definitely like a limitation in the musicianship, which I think has its charms. But Sons of the Sea was really wonderful because Brendan is an incredible musician, and he has no limitations as a musician. So really, it allowed me all kinds of wiggle room to be much more of a singer than I even knew I could be, you know.
So this past week has been really busy for you. I know you were just in LA and you did some appearances over there. You're in Long Island today here at Looney Tunes. Tomorrow you're going to be in New York City. How has all the appearances been going so far?
Once again, so far so good. Nobody has thrown any tomatoes at me or yelled anything offensive. It's been mostly like smiles and high fives and hugs and a couple of tears here and there. Tears of joy, I think. Nobody's handed me a baby and said, "This is yours. What are you gonna do about it?" Nothing like that. So it's all been cool so far. Yeah. My friends at Bookmark Los Angeles threw me the sort of like the send-off party for So the Echo, the new book, and I've been doing this a really long time, but pulling up in the car today, you never know what to expect. You never know if people are going to continue to show up to the things that you do.
I think there's supposed to be 400 people here today.
If that's the case, that's amazing. I'm completely blown away. So I'm super thankful. Everything's been going really well. Yeah.
You brought up the EP Compass earlier, and there wasn't that big of a gap in between when you did that EP and put out this album. Right. Did you really try to streamline that? Did you just want to just get the ball rolling on that, or was there any logic behind the timing?
A little bit. There was when I put Compass out, the whole record was finished. The record was done, but I just was trying to find a way to I guess you could say usurp the traditional way of putting a full-length record out today, because just putting a record out and then just going on tour and doing that works to a point, and maybe that would work better with Incubus, but I'm not sure. It's just everything's changing so rapidly that I started to just kind of pay attention to what other artists have been doing around me, and the EP had been kind of a successful model, and it's not a new model either. It's kind of an old one. Like things like lyric videos. I'd never done a lyric video, so I did 4 lyric videos at home in my office, and it was really fun. And so part of Sons of the Sea is sort of also just seeing where things are at as far as putting out music today, because the era I come from, though it wasn't that long ago, seems like ancient history compared to how fast things move today.
I heard in another interview that you had done that you said that when you were writing your tracks and they were kind of finishing and you would hear them all as one piece, that it was kind of this like beautiful reveal when it was coming all together. Yeah. Do you feel once you were finished with the whole record and you got to listen to that as a whole, that how did you feel when you finally heard it all done and all together?
For the most part, I was really excited, and part of it was that I had a partner in crime in Brendan O'Brien, and that he was. He doesn't have as much, I don't think, like sensitivity or vulnerability around putting things out. Like I'm sort of your textbook sensitive artist guy, where I'm like, I don't know, does it suck? I don't know, should we maybe not put this out and all this stuff. And left to my own devices, that's kind of where I'll go. It's not actually that much fun, but Brendan the whole time was like, this is fucking awesome, man. Like, this is so cool, like people are gonna love this, and he was so confident about it that it really helped sort of soften the blow a little bit. I don't know if he was lying or not, but I don't really care at this point.
You mentioned that you did a bunch of lyric videos. The video for "Come Together" came out really cool. What was the concept behind that?
The concept, that was the first one that I had done. I don't know in which order it came out, but that was my first attempt. And once again, a lot of my creative attempts are born of my limitations as an artist. So I didn't know how to use iMovie very well. It was the first time I'd ever used iMovie, but I borrowed my brother's a 5D, the Canon 5D, which has got like good quality. And I didn't know how to do like the streaming lyric thing on iMovie, though it exists. I just couldn't figure it out. I'm not that tech savvy. And so I tried to rack my brain as to like how artists before this kind of technologies, how did they do it? So I went back to that Bob Dylan video, the classic one where he just has the cards in front of his chest and he's just sort of pulling them back.
In the basement.
Yeah. I'm on the base looking at the government. Oh, that whole thing. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll do something like that. And so that led me to an old sketchbook that I had bought like at a flea market that was empty. Mm-hmm. And I started writing the lyrics and I started practicing just turning the pages. I'm like, okay, but I don't really know how to edit that well. So, hey, Balin, come here. You know how to dance. And then I just told her what time to dance. And it was really it's that simple. Maybe I shouldn't have revealed how simple it was.
It came out cool though.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That song specifically, I feel like it's got kind of a funk to it. Do you, when you wrote these new songs, did you take different approaches towards writing as opposed to Incubus? Because they aren't too close. I mean, it's the same voice, but it's different musically.
Yeah, the way the songs were written was pretty different. A lot of the tracks started as lyrics and melodies that had no music to them, where they were just like Come Together was one of them, Lady Black was one of them. There's a track called Avalanche was one of them, where I got like a melody in my head and I started writing words to the melody and there was no music around it yet. And then I started sharing some of those things with Brendan and he started crafting music around these sort of pre-existing melodies. And so it was almost like backwards songwriting to the way that I've grown accustomed to doing it, which I've been doing it one way or a variation on that one way for a long time. But then the further we got into it, Brendan started sharing like piano riffs with me and guitar riffs with me. The song that's playing in the background right now is called Space and Time. This is an example of another way that we wrote together, where he showed me like a piano riff and the one that's playing. And then it sparked a melody in my head and then lyrics follow soon thereafter. So it was a lot of fun. It was very different.
You said that you played on TV a couple nights ago. Are you guys going to be touring for this project at all? Or?
I think eventually, yeah. I'd very much like to. I'd love to see what it feels like to hit a stride on the road with these kind of new sounds and pushing the envelope a little bit. And I honestly think I think that it would help inform a larger process at work to continue to diversify my creative pursuits. And I know that the other guys in Incubus experience something similar, because everybody else has sort of their individual creative pursuits. And then when we get back together to make music, we only have more to draw from, because you can't, you get too sort of enclosed in any kind of creative bubble. And I think that the art that you make starts to reflect that atmosphere. And so what I'd like to do is continue to find ways to expand that bubble and widen the sphere and maybe even pop the bubble and see what can filter in,
So aside from the newest album you just put out, you also have a new book, which I believe has art, prose, everything in it, So the Echo. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I know you've put out 3 books before, but about the newest one.
Yeah, so the Echo is the 3rd book that I've done, and it's similar to the first 2 in the sense that it's sort of an amalgamation of drawings and paintings and poetry and observational prose and photography and stuff like that. This one I think differs mostly in its presentation, but also the spirit with which I kind of was pulling it together. I've never felt more focused and at the same time free in my ideas around what I am supposed to do and why I'm here this time. And I know now. I mean, I've always known I was an artist and supposed to like make things, whether it was out of sound or with my eyes and with my hands. But there's been a lot of kind of feeling around in the dark, so to speak, up until maybe the past like 5-6 years. I've started to go like, oh, like that, like almost like find an identity in it. And I think that So the Echo and Sons of the Sea, for that matter, really are starting to reflect a better understanding of that identity and what my sort of role is at this point in my life. It'll probably change as soon as I have now that I feel like I've got some kind of a grasp on it, it'll probably slip out from my fingers, which that's to be expected, you know.
Do you think that's an age thing, that you're kind of having this revelation, like, oh, well, this kind of all makes sense now? I mean, do you think it's an experience thing?
Part of it's experience, but I think you're very right in seeing that it comes with age. I'll be 38 next year, and I think something happens when we hit our 30s, and especially our late 30s, is we start to probably understand who and what we are a little more succinctly, more big picture. But what comes with that as well is you start to question who we've been up to that point. And so there is this moment of, it's kind of beautiful, actually. You have this sort of beautiful existential crisis. But I think that you come out the other side of that, and that's what you get that clarity out of, if you allow it, if you give yourself permission.
From chaos and clarity.
Yeah, exactly.
You said before that you've always had the motivation to create, whether it's drawing, painting, singing. When you draw inspiration, what kind of feelings or what goes on in your head when you're like, all right, well, I'm feeling this, but this is going to go into writing, or this is going to go into music, or this is going to go into painting? How do you differentiate that inspiration?
That's a good question. Hi. Very good question. The answer to that question is I don't actually differentiate. Maybe I should a little bit more. Maybe I'd be more prolific if I was more of a stickler about those kinds of things. But there are days when I just know I'm supposed to draw. You know, today I'm gonna draw. I just feel like drawing, and that'll go on for months. I'm just like, I get obsessive about it. Like, I just need to draw. And then there are times when it's like, oh no, that's what a cool melody, and then I'll obsess over that for a period of time. And after many, many years, like songs, I've learned how to write songs because of those weird little obsessions that I go through, or draw pictures. So I really don't like to discriminate between them. Just like to make a kind of atmosphere around me, but also externally, but as well internally, that's conducive to allowing whatever's going to come through.
You mentioned earlier that some fans are getting nervous about Incubus. People said that you were on a hiatus, and that's obviously not true. You're playing some South American dates. Yeah. Do you have any plans for Incubus in the future? New touring, new album?
Other than the South American dates, that's all we have on the books right now. And then I'm actually my intention is to go out and play some shows around Sons of the Sea in like January, February of 2014. But you never know. Sometimes touring opportunities pop up, like the South American thing, that they're too good to pass up. Because, I mean, touring South America it's hard because it's far away, and there's, a lot of the sort of creature comforts that we get used to touring in the States don't exist down there, but they end up being some of the most sort of fruitful, fulfilling adventures, because we are completely thrown out of our comfort zone. And a lot of the shows are with the Dave Matthews Band, who we've never played with. So we're doing like some soccer stadiums and shit like that, which will be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
The last thing I want to touch on is, I read that the Make Yourself Foundation just celebrated its 10-year anniversary. Is there anything going on with that right now?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff, man. We had did this sort of this surfing thing where for the past couple of months it's basically like in the spirit of ways to generate funds for other nonprofits. We'll do like activities, and the latest one is I'm going to take somebody surfing in Malibu for an afternoon and all the money that we raise is going to a handful of different charities, but we raised like just a shit pile of money. And
that's good. That's cool.
It's so fun. Yeah. And then we're working with the Urgency Network and the Carbon War Room, and it's actually, considering we're off of tour, it's probably one of the busiest times for the Make Yourself Foundation.
If anybody wanted to get involved and donate, where would they look to do that?
They could just go to themakeyourselffoundation.org, and any and all information is right there. There's lots of fun stuff going on.
All right.
Hello, this is Brandon Boyd here. I am Brandon. This is Brandon. I am Brandon. And you're watching Under the Gun TV. Thanks.